from multiple systems. This is a three-part series. Our speaker today is Johnny Bofilius. He's going to talk about leveraging analytics for planning, scheduling, and work management. Johnny has over 15 plus years of experience in EAM, data analysis and reporting solutions for asset reliability and maintenance management for large multinational enterprises. I want to thank you for your interest. We hope this will be worth your while. Keep sharing your questions and comments with us through the chat window. Now I welcome Johnny.
Thank you, Jason. Jason, my screen, can you see it okay?
Yep, A-okay.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for taking the time to join me on this webinar today. As we discussed last week, the whole three-part series was all about managing plant data from multiple systems. And what we talked about last week was why. And we did have some technical difficulties, and if a lot of you have some questions from last week or need some information from us around that, we'd be happy to get it. You can ask at the end of this call or email, and we will make sure we get that information to you. The reason we started this was why, because why do we need to leverage multiple systems and other data? And it's just, at the end of the day, it's all about making better decisions with our information. And what we're going to do today, and we're going to talk a little bit, highlight a little bit about last week's why, but the biggest thing is how do we bring this information together by leveraging what we currently own, and then of course the final webinar will be about the results. What does those results look like? You know, one of the quotes I have down there, we're all surrounded by data but starving for insights. The three takeaways I want you to take from this presentation today is, and from this whole three-part webinar, is, you know, most of the times I'm always asked, you know, and we're going to demonstrate a lot of this, is do I have the tools to leverage my information that I have, all these disparate systems across my organization, and am I able to bring those together with the current tools that I have? Do I need to purchase any additional software to help me leverage the information? And also, you know, how is my system designed? Is my system designed for information, or is a system designed for the end user? And a lot of you are end users, and this is not going to be a technical presentation, but it's all about how do we create value, how do we leverage the systems that we have so the end user can make it a lot easier for them to put the data in, but also make it a lot easier for the end users to get the data out. So it's not just a big black box going into the data going into and not being able to leverage it. So last week we kind of talked a little bit about walk through the audits, the strategies, the implementation of allowing and bringing data together. So you kind of want to, you bring data from different sources, machines, EAM, instruments, inspections, vibration. And the first thing you need to do is perform a data quality audit. You need to look at the quality of the data, right, and the integrity of that data, and the overall usefulness of that data. And then you need to develop strategies. So those strategies are all about data governance, master data management, normalization of the data. You know, if you don't have a well-defined hierarchy, if you haven't defined the hierarchy, if you haven't identified the assets, if you haven't developed the structure, you're not going to know, you know, how to classify that data, how to analyze that data, and how to make better decisions with that data. So that's very important. And finally, which is what we're talking a little bit about today, is the implementation of that and what strategies you need to do around that. And the implementation is why. How do we bring it all together? And then when we do, how can we leverage it? How can we cleanse it, validate it, connect it, match it, merge it? So the first two parts of the webinar was all about getting good data ready and why do we need to have good data ready. And once we have good data set, then it's ready for analysis. And then we can start doing modeling, we can do analytics with it, and we can develop strategies around that information. At the end of the day, it's all about how to make better decisions. Who's going to make those decisions with that data, and what are they going to do with that data? So in any organization, you're going to create lagging or leading indicators around making those decisions. Whether you're from an executive or leadership perspective, where you're looking at this data and you're trying to look at, what is my compliance, what is my production numbers, what's my quality, or whether I am a middle manager trying to make decisions around planning and scheduling, or whether I'm on the shop floor and I want to execute. So at a high level, this is the reason you want to bring data together. So if we kind of go back to our presentation here, the objective is to make analytics-driven decisions. So data is information which provides insights, which allows us to make better decisions, which will perform actions. And as you go through this maturity curve within your internal organization, you also need to, the same thing needs to happen with your information and your data. As you bring data, as you have asset systems, and those systems have data quality issues, and we talked about governance, and we talked about insight. As you move to this maturity curve, you can leverage the data, and this is the why, in making better decisions. So I asked that question last week. We're not going to poll it because everybody's already answered it. But if you would say, if you had all your systems today making decisions, right, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate, 1 being data's everywhere, we don't know how to manage it, to 10 being we've got it under control? And, the reason I asked this question is because, as I said last time, all of you have systems, all of you have good, you have enterprise asset management systems, whether it's Maximo, whether it's Infor, whether it's SAP or any other EAM, or whether it's Historian or SCADA or Inspection. You've got processes and you've got people, and you're getting pretty good results. How can you leverage those three and go to the next level? And that is, take those systems, take those processes and people, bring them together, and create that fourth cog, which is analytics, and leverage all that to make better decisions, which in return takes you to a world-class organization. All right, so we talked about that. So again, kind of leveraging why. And then now let's look at the why is to the how. So the objective is to, if I go from left to right up here, is reduce total cost of ownership all the way to productivity, optimize inventory. And the processes are, you're implementing lean, condition-based monitoring, reliability, and maintenance, you're using enterprise asset management to manage this information. But you got all this other data that's out there, and all this other data needs to come together so you can model it, analyze it, report it, monitor the performance, and then, of course, sustain it and refine your strategy. So let's look at some examples. Now, as I said, this is not a technical one, so there's a lot of technical aspects of how you bring this data together. But in a high level, you have numerous data sources out in your organization, and this is where I get asked the question, okay, I see what you're talking about. Now, do I own the systems? Do I have this capability of bringing multiple sources together into some type of data repository? And 7 out of 10 times, typical organizations have already invested in great technology. They just don't know how to take advantage of it. They don't know how to put it together. And they can't articulate back to IT what they need to do. So for an example here, so let's say you have Maximo, or it could be SAP. And let's just say you have ERP, which could be Oracle, JD Edwards, or again, SAP. And then you have some inspection data, vibration condition data, machine condition data. In most cases, all of you either have the technology like Business Objects, Crystal Reports, Cognos, ClickView, Tableau, you have some type of analytics or data repository that you can bring this data in together. Then, once you get it together, is understand how do you break it into subject matter data marks or data areas, and then from there, bring it to make better decisions from a delivery standpoint. Now, it could be whether you bring it into a KPI dashboard or you know, but the key here is the takeaway from this slide is you probably have this technology. Now, how do you get this technology into bringing it together? So the next slide is it gets a little bit deeper. Same sources, but now how do we break those into input tables? And so we're going to okay, we're collecting failure details inside of Maximo. We're bringing in condition data from inspections. We're bringing in quality information from ERP. And we can create different types of pre-designed tables within that. Now, this could happen in numerous places. One, it could happen in some type of data database that you already own, like SQL Server or Oracle. And then you can create intermediate tables where you start doing Weibull generation type data in Monte Carlo. And then from there, you can start creating the reliability models, lifecycle models, and then again, finally visualizing it. So here's always a good question. A lot of the times you'll hear, well, there's a lot of tools out there that can plug in on top of your EAM and your ERP, bring the data, and then you can configure those tools to create reports. But if you've already invested in business objects, or if you've already invested in Cognos, if you've already invested in Tableau or ClickView, 9 out of 10 times you can do this with what you invested. It's just bringing in the expertise to help you do that. Finally, right, so as you go through this visibility, and you know your objective is okay, so we want to bring in data, so the input variable, and then from there we take this data, and as we talked initially, is how do we take this information, right, and then do advanced analytics or do management of performance, or create dashboards, so those things. So bringing it into those sources can increase your visibility. I want to highlight one more thing at this slide. As you're doing, some of you are doing some of the reporting today. You're probably using Maximo or SAP or one of those enterprise asset management tools, and you're probably using inspection tools or OSI historians, and you export. 9 out of 10 times you're probably exporting them to Excel, trying to do some kind of match and make better decisions with it. If you're able to take this information and create a tag, whether you match the functional location to the historian tag, or the equipment identification number to the historian tab, you're able to correlate that data. You can start developing this information within your current reporting infrastructure. And next week, what we're going to see is how that looks. What does that look like? So, if we're going to do Weibull, what does that Weibull analysis look in an example of business objects or Cognos or Tableau? What is an example of lifecycle costing looking at in that sort of infrastructure? So, again, as I keep highlighting this, it's those 3 takeaways that I want you to get out of this short presentation is, do I have the tools today to be able to bring this information and combine it and to make better decisions with it? As I said, 7 out of 10 times, a lot of organizations like the ones like you on the call already have those reporting technologies. Number 2, do I need to purchase software? Well, maybe the case is yes. Maybe you don't have a reporting infrastructure. Maybe you don't have Cognos or a business object. Maybe you're just utilizing BERT for Maximo. But still, even if you are using BERT for Maximo, there's still ways to bring that together. But again, it's an assessment you need to do to see. But again, as I say, 7 out of 10 times you don't need that. And then finally, if you're designing or if you've implemented these technologies or you're in the process of implementing these technologies, 9 out of 10 times this part, this question or this component of bringing the data together is thought about later or in the future, not at the beginning. So are you designing these systems so for users to be able to make better decisions? As again, we said is designed for the information or is it designed for the user who's consuming it and who's entering the information? So to wrap up, as I said, data leads to information, which leads to analysis, which leads to insight and makes better decisions. So taking scattered data from different sources, bringing it all together, and make those informed decisions. And then bringing it together is probably the hardest part out of the equation. When we talk about the why, we know why, right? We need to make better decisions. That's why. We know the results. The results are, developed to show you the insights. But bringing it together, taking advantage of that technology, taking advantage of the people, taking advantage of the processes, is probably the most complex one. But it's also the one that, as I said, 7 out of 10 times within your organization, you have the infrastructure, you have the systems to be able to do it. Just needing the expertise and the business insight to bring it together. So from there, we keep it 20 minutes on purpose, and it's 1:18. We started at 1:01. So I want to leave a couple of minutes for questions. Last time we didn't get many questions, but I also know last time I had a problem with with the technology, the phone, and a couple of other things went wrong. So I am interested to see if some of you have any questions around this topic. And I want to create a dialogue because I think this is a very important topic within your organization. So now, are we getting any questions?
Yeah, Johnny, I have a couple of questions. I'll just pick one of them and then wrap up maybe. One of the participants is asking, he just moved to 7.5 Maximo. Now they have already moved, so is it possible to set up the infrastructure, reporting infrastructure now, or how is it? Because they already moved to the new version.
So it doesn't matter. It all depends on what reporting infrastructure you have. So you could have BERT or you could have Cognos. Either way, it's not too late. It's easily be done. The only difference is if you do it in BERT, you're having some limitations, being able to combine data from multiple sources, but you still have the ability to do so, and you still can leverage that technology that's provided by IBM. If you have Cognos, it's a little bit easier because Cognos is developed for that type of infrastructure. So it has a data warehouse, data repository. It has tools that you can allow to take data from multiple sources and bring it together. But at a high level, to answer that question, it's not late. It's not too late. And typically, sometimes this is the time. 9 out of 10 clients, this is what they actually do. They do it at this point, develop their reporting strategy.
All right, Johnny. I think we'll answer other questions by email maybe later on.
Okay.
Over to Jason. Yeah, Jason.
So
we're all good.
Yep. All right. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks for taking those 20 minutes. I look forward to talking to you next week, where we're going to demonstrate the final component of this 3-part webinar, and that is going to be once we take the scatter data, once we bring it together, what does it look like? from a visualization standpoint. And if some of you are going to join again next week, and maybe you can email us the technologies that you use, and we can try to demonstrate some of the metrics and reporting based on those technologies, whether it's Cognos, whether it's Burp, whether it's Business Objects, Tableau, or ClickView. So we welcome that, and that'll keep us from understanding a little bit of our audience. Thanks again.
Hey, thank you very much, Johnny. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.